Bam, yeah, intro, talking to the great Victoria Johnson. How are you? Oh, yeah, I did not have a cute, yeah, we're gonna do it again,
Yeah,
yeah. What's going on, Victoria?
nothing much. How are you?
I am okay. I am okay. I'm glad to be here doing this interview with you because you have an event coming up. What's the name of it again? In case I get it wrong, even though I didn't get it wrong, I'm just giving you a chance to say what it is.
Sailor Moon Day Party.
Damn right it is. But before we get into that, I'd like to talk about the Sailor Moon's podcast that you built up, as well as before that, how you got into nerd and everything. So for those that might not know about your Sailor Moon podcast, how you got into that and your journey with nerd. So let's start with your journey with nerd. Also, wait, first before we get into that, you're a writer.
I am a writer. I
Oh
do a lot
yeah,
of
yeah.
things.
What perchance do you write about?
Well, I write about a couple things. So
Mhm.
mainly pop culture. I've started my career kind of like bouncing between pop culture and politics.
Oh,
But yeah, I know I'm
I,
all over the place. I
I didn't
actually
know
interned
that.
for
Yeah.
like the New York Daily News for a bit and the New York Amsterdam News for a bit. So I have like those like tough nails reporting skills.
Hmm.
Like being at courthouses and stuff. But I found most of my success and the more fun side with pop culture. So covering comic books, anime, film,
Hmm.
TV, doing interviews, music as well, a lot of hip hop writing. I wrote for a site called The Boombox for a little bit for
Hmm.
about 2 years, which is like was a sister site of like Double XL. And so all of that. So that's just pretty much everything I write about.
Did you go to school for journalism?
I did, yeah. I
What?
um I got my master's degree in
What?
journalism.
See, finding all these things. I'm glad I asked. So wait,
Lore unlocked.
who's your favorite fictional reporter then? Give me your favorite real life reporter and then your
Ooh,
favorite fictional reporter.
I like this question. So, I mean, obviously I love Lois Lane. I think she's just really cool.
Hmm.
Like she's like when you think of journalists, you think of like her like that, like hard hitting, whatever. Um, and then for real life reporter, ooh. Oh gosh. I feel like I'm forgetting names. Right now I really like Andre Gee from Rolling Stone.
Okay.
Really cool. He does a lot of stuff on like hip hop. I think he like approaches things with a perspective that like not a lot of other people are doing. So I'm trying to
Mhm.
think what he did. I cannot remember anything right now, but I'll remember later. But
Okay. I
yeah,
thought you're gonna be like somebody like from the like Dan Rathers, Dan Rathers raised me, baby. I'm a Dan Rathers kid. What else?
mm,
So you're talking about being into like pop culture and whatnot. So what was your segue like into your nerddom? What is your field of nerddom? Because I believe it's like a spectrum, right? So what is and it's a spectrum because you're just like a fan of these things. So like what is your nerddom? Like what is your fan? What are you a fan of nerd wise or pop
wait,
culture
so
wise?
like what, like franchises or just like general?
Whatever.
Oh gosh. Okay. Well, I mean, definitely anime, comic books, video
Hmm.
games, K-dramas. I'm pretty much like anything that has a good story, I want to read it, watch it, give me it. I tend to steer away from horror just because I'm a scaredy
Same.
pants person.
You
So
saw
I like
Sinners?
sleeping at night. I did see Sinners.
Yeah, it's not really a horror. So it's like
Yeah.
this works. This works.
And like I had someone watch it before me and I was like, let me know
Hmm.
how scary it is. And they were like, it's not that scary. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna trust you. And then I went in and then I relayed that to another friend and I was like, okay, it was not that scary. You can watch it too. And we
Yeah.
just like, kept going.
Never a fan of like the jump scares and stuff like that. Like don't lure me in. What was your intro into like give me your intro into comic books, your intro into anime, and your intro into like K-pop.
Yeah, so for anime and comics, I have three older brothers who are big anime and comic book fans. I know I'm dropping so much lore on you today.
Are you the youngest?
I am the youngest.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Youngest power. Yes, youngest, the only girl, my dad's only child. I have a lot of like main character energy,
Hmm.
or I should have more main character energy. But so they're both all three of them are really into like anime and comic books. And
Okay.
so my brothers had like stacks of comics like in the house at all times. My oldest brother has like anime DVDs that like take up the garage.
Hmm.
I'm from Florida.
Okay.
Um I know, it's a lot. And so I just kind of always had access to these things. They would just be like, "Hey, you should read this. I think you'd like it." And I'd be like, "Okay."
Oh,
And that's literally how I got into Sailor Moon too, where my brother was just like, "Hey, there's this show coming on Cartoon Network. I think you'd like it." And I was like, "Okay." And clearly,
that is that
30
is
years later, it's taken over my
that is
whole
so
life.
nice.
Yeah. And so it was really cool. And so and I think just in general, like watching a lot of like Super Friends, a lot of like Batman the animated series, like growing up
Hmm.
with shows on TV. Because I think for a while I was more into like animated DC or animated shows,
Okay.
of comic books rather than like reading because I was watching Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends and like all of that. And so I really loved all of those animated shows. And then for anime, yeah, it was really just Toonami, like
Hmm.
watching Sailor Moon and then obviously getting into Dragon Ball, getting into Tenchi Muyo, and then later on like Cowboy Bebop, and then finding those sites online to
Oh
like
yeah,
I
yeah, Ski Master.
anime, Toonami's gone, yeah, Anime Freak, whatever. Watching like Claymore and really just like falling down the rabbit hole that way, finding manga at my high school library, like
Hmm.
being like, what is this? I need to read this. Yeah, that's pretty much it. And I've just been locked in ever since.
If your brother, the things your brothers helped you get in with that you mentioned, what is something or that you got in like yourself? Like, oh, this is something you discovered. What was that for you? Like maybe the first thing you're like, oh, I discovered this thing and like I'm into this.
Yeah, I think the cool thing was K-dramas.
Yeah,
Because and funny enough, I kind of got into that through Sailor Moon.
there we go.
So because I like Sailor Moon, I watched the live action Sailor Moon show, which is on PGSM.
Hmm.
That came out in like 2003, but I watched it like much later. And then that made me want to watch more Japanese dramas. And so I watched one, and then I was talking to one of my old roommate about it in college because I was like, "Oh, I think you'd like this show," because we were both kind of like into international film and stuff like that. And she was like, "Well, if you like J dramas, you might like K dramas." And I was like, "Sure, give it to me." And so she had me watch Boys Over Flowers. I binged it all in one night. It was super addictive. Like within 36 hours, I was done with that show, and it's 25 episodes. Each episode is like an hour each.
Hmm.
And so I was just hooked from there. And so that was the thing. And that was kind of fun, like going back to my brothers and being like, oh, hey, I'm in this new
Nice.
thing. And like, and I actually got them to watch a few too. So it was a
You have
circle.
such nice brothers, man. My I'm the youngest. I have an older brother. I have a brother on my father's side, and for my mom, I have my older brother, and but I our oldest is a sister is my sister. So it's like no, we all know our play. I prefer it that way because like oh like no matter how wild because I never talk crazy to her, but like whenever he because
Mm,
they were closer in age, so whenever
yeah.
they like he might say something crazy. I'm like, all right, you gonna kiss that ring later, and then like later on, it's like, all right, and she's all so much short. He's like 6 foot something, and she's so much shorter. But like every time, like, all right, I might have been, I might have been, I might have been a little, yeah, yeah. We all know who the Don is. So you talked about getting into K drama through
Mhm.
Sailor Moon, and we know how
Yeah.
much. Well, you will come to know how much of a Sailor Moon fan you are because you not only before I even get to like the podcast, you were a cosplayer as well. Yes,
Ish.
yeah, ish. Well, you were able to blend Sailor Moon
Yeah.
with your own West Indian culture because you're Haitian.
Yes.
Yes. So can you talk about that and what you created of cosplay from that?
Yeah, so I was asked to join this cosplay group from Sailor Ecstasy and Empress Jasmine. They're two cosplayers. And I say ish because I like don't regularly cosplay. I feel like I cosplay like once a year, maybe. And I feel like now like maybe I can call myself a cosplayer, but I feel like I don't do it as often.
I
But
feel like you throw on the mask. It's like, oh, I'm not a vigilante. Now you throw on the mask and go out and yeah, you're doing the thing. You're there.
I guess so. Yeah, all right. And so they had the idea and asked me to be part of it because they were asking a lot of Caribbean folks, but not just Caribbean folks, but they were like, "You're Haitian, join us." And I was like, "Sure." And I took Sailor Venus because she's one of my favorites. I
Yep.
think also like she's Sailor V, I'm Sailor V, so that always feels like a nice synergy there. And then so I was just like, how can I combine like Sailor Venus with like Carnival? And like
Hmm.
luckily like everyone in the group was like sharing links and stuff for things, and I was sharing links. I found a bunch of stuff on like Etsy and like other sites, and just threw it together. Because I always wanted to play Mas, and go to a carnival. I actually went to the Notting Hill Festival in London last year or 2 years ago. I can't remember at this point. 2 years ago, I think. Yes, 2 years ago. For that reason. And I didn't really get to go all out, and I still want to go all out at some point. But this was kind of my like, oh, I can kind of like be Sailor Venus and kind of like go all out with like the feathers and the
Hmm.
wings and all the things. And so that was kind of fun to kind of like play more into my Caribbean side, and Sailor Moon at the same time.
Yes.
I don't always see that.
For show, I mean, when all right, when you dress up as it, like, all right, yeah, so you're in it. So then you created the Sailor, which you did beforehand, the Sailor Moon podcast.
Yes.
First of all, Sailor Mooney's podcast. How did you come up with the name? I've always been curious of that.
Yeah. So the Sailor Moon Fan Club podcast,
Oh.
which is fine. But the handle is Mooney's Club because funny enough, I wanted it to be Sailor Moon Fan Club, but it was too long.
Hmm.
So I was just like, well, Sailor Moon fans are called Moonies. Like that's their name. So I was like, I'll just do Moonies Club because that's Sailor Moon fan club.
Hmm.
I actually ran it by Jackie, who we both know, Jackie A. And I was just like, what should I do? I'm like, should I do Sailor Moonies Club? Should I do Moonies Club? I think I had another one that I was thinking about. She was like, Moonies Club is cute. And I was like, okay, I'll go
Yeah.
with that.
I like this one. This is cute. Oh, enough
Yep,
said. Enough
perfect.
said.
That's all I need to know. And so once I was like, I was thinking about it, like that's the one I was leaning towards, and then she kind of confirmed that for me, and then
Mhm.
that's what I went with.
What made
Um,
you? Oh, good.
oh, and Sailor Moon fan club was just because I knew I wanted to interview different Sailor Moon fans, and so I was kind of like thinking like, oh, this could be like a Sailor Moon fan club, like a
Hmm.
clubhouse kind of thing.
That was my next question. So, what made you want to interview different types of fans? Because not like it's not just like women you were interviewing as well. You were like everyone across the board.
Yeah, yeah. So it was really just like, well, two things. One, I originally wanted to do a Magical Girls podcast
Hmm.
and talk about because I just felt like there was so much on shonen, which is great. I love shonen too, but I just wanted something to focus a little bit more on like shoujo or maho shoujo or magical girls. Just because like the I know it's like technically not a genre, but the genre is like so vast, and I felt like
Hmm.
people, some people just know Sailor Moon, maybe Cardcaptor Sakura, maybe Madoka Magica, but there's like hundreds of them. But I hadn't seen most of them, and I was like, ooh, I'm gonna have to like watch these to like get someone on the show to talk about it.
Okay.
And I was also like, ooh, I don't know if I have time to watch all these shows. And then I'm like, don't know if I can find someone who'd be willing to either watch these shows or have already watched some of these.
Hmm.
And so it just felt a little more daunting. And then most of the guests I was finding were just Sailor Moon fans too. Because over time, I just, naturally as a Sailor Moon fan, you're like, oh, this person's a Sailor Moon fan and this person's a Sailor Moon fan, like Sweetie and, Sasha Banks and all these, or Mercedes Monet now.
Yeah, I was going. Yeah, yeah. She
And
followed the
so
wrestling.
as I was like trying to think of guests, I was like, oh wait, most of these people are really just Sailor Moon fans, and some people like aren't even anime fans. Like some people are like, no, I watch Sailor Moon and nothing else. Like I know
Hmm.
nothing about anime, but I love Sailor Moon. It's kind of like Pokemon in that way, where I'm like, there's people who watch Pokemon when they were younger, but like never got into anime. And so once I realized that, I was like, maybe I should just do like just a Sailor Moon podcast. And that's kind of where the Sailor Moon fan club came in, and just everything was just like rolling off the tongue where I was like, oh, I can do a Sailor Moon says thing at the end and like all these things. And so yeah, that's kind of how it started there. And I just thought it'd be really cool because I realized over time just like how many cool people were like Sailor Moon fans. Because I was like, man, like this fandom is very like vast and
Fast.
different. And I'm like, where else can you find like a wrestler and then like book authors and comic book creators and then you have like musicians, like rappers and singers and I'm like, and all of them like are Sailor Moon fans. And I'm like, you would never know.
What was your most like memorable guest or conversation you had with someone on the podcast?
Yeah. I would say Morgan Jerkins was one of my favorite guests on the show just because we got into a really cool conversation about Afrofuturism and Sailor Moon.
Ah,
Would have never put together before. Also, I mean, not just because we're talking right now, but you and Will were really great.
oh,
Just
oh,
'cause
don't give me this.
it was so fun and funny. Like y'all are just great and just play off of each other so well. So
Thank
that
you.
was a fun one. Um, and I'm like, who else? Obviously, like having big guests like Sweetie on the show was really cool. That was like
Mhm.
the first time ever. That was also like the first time I had one of the first times. So I had Dawn Richard on the show before her, but both of them were kind of the two biggest guests I've had that like I was able to like book myself because I've interviewed celebrities before, but it was
Yeah,
always like for Complex or for
yeah,
this
yeah.
thing. And this was the first time I was like, oh, this is like something I did. Like it's so
Hmm.
of like my strength, and not like this big name.
Hmm.
So that was really cool. And just they were just really fun to talk to, really like insightful, really fun, interesting. Also just like it was cool just to be like, oh wow, I like got Saweetie on the show, I got Don Richard on the show, and then later on like Mercedes Monet, Sasha Banks. And so
And,
it's been cool.
and you've been doing that. Is this your sixth year or it's been 5 years now?
5 years.
5 years now. You've been doing that. And
Mhm.
you've also talked about, I don't know if you still wanted to do this, but you're like, all right, well, I've done this with Sailor Moon, but you were going to pivot to a different franchise. Maybe you were thinking, I don't, can I say the franchise you were thinking about at the
Go
time you
ahead,
were
because
talking
I
about?
don't remember, honestly.
Oh, you were thinking about Avatar. You're going to do it with
Oh
Avatar.
yeah, I was. I
Hmm.
was thinking about that. Yeah, I think I've since let that go.
Okay.
But,
No.
but
So you're gonna
Life,
keep it Sailor
life
Moon
pivots
then?
and you just gotta move where life goes, huh?
Are you gonna keep it Sailor Moon, or are you gonna go like, or because magical girls?
Mm. So actually, there's a few different things I've had in mind. So I
Mhm.
kind of want to do another podcast, a spin-off podcast about Naoko's other manga because she has like at least 10 other ones
Okay.
that just aren't as popular or just never got translated. And there's fan translations online.
Hmm.
I was like, oh, it could be cool to just kind of like bring on some previous guests and like do like a little book club kind of thing, talking about each of her mangas. Some of them are interesting. One is like about two girls who turn into cockroaches, and it's like, okay, what's going on there?
Kafka style. Okay. Metamorphosis.
Yeah. And so one's also like just about like a woman falling in love. Like she works at a radio station, and I'm
Hmm.
like, that sounds sweet. It's like on Christmas, and they're all like 1 or 2 volumes. Like there's not super long.
Okay.
So that's something I've been playing around in the back of my head. But I think now I've been more focused on like writing projects, and so
Okay.
that's
Oh,
that's and
I thought-
events.
I'm gonna get to the writing projects later on then, because I didn't
Hmm.
know that. For because you've been doing the Sailor Moon podcast for about 5 years now, like, well, you're like, oh, maybe I'm like, now I'm wondering, like, well, is it because you're not gonna expand that way because you've already been expanding a different way because now you're doing a Sailor Moon day party as well. So you've gone. I always find it, not always find it fun, but I find it cool that you're like, all right, I've gone from like a podcast where it's just like one-on-one. And now you're going to a day party where it's so many other like folks and like you're creating space. So what made you want to do that jump?
Yeah, so I actually really wanted to do a launch party for the podcast when I first started. But as you may or may not know, I launched in March 2020.
Hmm.
And
Oh, ooh, ooh,
yeah.
oh boy, yeah,
So, I had to cancel all those plans.
yeah, yeah.
Um, and so I kind of always had like this idea to do an event, kind of like celebrating Sailor Moon fans, bringing Sailor Moon fans together. Actually, I actually put together an event for Sailor Moon fans with two other people back in like 2014, I think.
Hmm.
It was really like small. It's like a barcade. It was like a meetup. We did
Okay.
like via and this is before obviously I had this whole brand, but it was just like something fun I did with two people and some people came out and it was really cool. So I think just like knowing that there's a lot of Sailor Moon fans in New York,
Hmm.
and wanting to like bring people together, and I just had this really cool idea for event. That's always has what happens. I'm like, this would be fun. This is something I want to go to. So now I got to create it because I want to go. And it's my brain is annoying like that. So that was really it. And so I went ahead and I was like, let me do this event finally. I think it was 2023. Yeah.
Hmm.
I'm like, all right, this feels safe to do now, hopefully. And I had a lot of encouragement from friends and other folks in this anime sphere who I think you may talk about later, but
Hmm. Yeah, don't, yeah, you know how interviews go. Don't you jump ahead on my questions. Yeah.
sorry. And so yeah, so that honestly like just the encouragement. I was just like, ooh, I don't know if I want to do this, like, because events cost money and
I
like,
was gonna ask about that. Like, what is the difference between doing running a
mhm,
an event versus like a
right.
podcast? So like the
Yeah.
things that come up. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Stakes
Events
are
do
just
cost money. Yeah.
higher.
Yep.
Like you could easily be $5,000 in the hole and
Woo!
like,
I hope
well,
you're
let's
enjoying
not do that.
yourself because
Right.
I you better be enjoying yourself for as much as an whole I am. Yeah, you better. Yeah.
Exactly. Like it's very like, DJs cost money,
Hmm.
photographers cost money, decorations cost money, venues cost money, or sometimes, they have certain bar minimums that you have to hit, or else
Yeah.
you have to pay whatever it doesn't reach. So all of these things. And so it's a lot, especially for a first time. And you're hearing like, you got to reach this number or else you're gonna have to pay. And I'm like, well, I don't have that in my bank account right now. So I don't know how this is gonna work. But and you got to sign contracts and give over your bank
Hmm.
information.
Oof.
Um, so thankfully I've been able to hit my bar minimums for the most part for all the events,
Mhm.
for all the Sailor Moon Day parties. And so that's been good. So I think because of that, I've been becoming more confident. I'm like, okay, we can
Okay.
expand. Now we got a little money in the bank for the business account. We can play around a little bit.
Oh, you're an adult. And how many years has it been with the Sailor Moon day party? This is your third year?
My third year,
Hmm.
yeah. Yeah,
And
yeah,
I've seen well, I'm gonna read this question right here because I'm like this is a big question. But you got sponsors like Tokyo Treat, RightStuffAnime.com, and Anime Dance Music. But I also noticed you had sponsors like Land Party with Luther and Greg, and they
yeah.
focus on like they create a space for like gamers. You've also had sponsors of Sailor Boom Party with DJ Hijinks and DJ Dimple, and they have like their own like they have a space for like brown queer folk, black queer folk, and in Brooklyn with their hip hop cosplay parties. And
Mhm.
so it's dope to see you like you have a space that you're creating as well. And like they're sponsoring, for your event and like to see that you're a part of this collective. Because I think let's say Land Party usually does it in Manhattan, Sailor
Mhm.
Boom does it in Brooklyn. Yours is in Brooklyn as well, or is it a
Yeah.
different location? It's in Brooklyn as well. So it's like a dope like collective that you had.
Yeah, so I mean, I've honestly just been really thankful and grateful that everyone has come in and like been really supportive of me entering this space. And like I said,
Mhm.
I'm the feel like the newcomer, like the baby in all this. So I'm just like, hey, I want to do this event. And then, they were all like down and very helpful to like, come and DJ, come and, give advice, let me DM them and be like, hey, I'm thinking about this. Greg was actually one of the people who really pushed me to do the first Sailor Moon Day party. I always have to give him credit just because he was like, if you don't reach your bar minimum, he's like, I'll give you some money towards it.
Ah,
And I'm just like, thank you. And
yeah.
like, thankfully, he did not have to come out pocket. But I think just having that little bit of extra security
Hmm.
was nice because I think at the time I was like, if this doesn't work, like this is going to take my entire savings, and I was
Hmm.
like, I don't want that to happen.
It was your
And
8 Mile moment. Something's got to
yeah,
happen with this rap shit. It's got to happen now.
exactly. So yeah, definitely just like super supportive. To say he still like takes care of like the photo booth for me,
Mhm.
as a sponsor, and so I always just appreciate people who are willing to like work with me or be like, hey, like here's what I can afford or here's what I can do. Um, and obviously, I try to return the favor as well, where I'm like, if you need any help, if you want to do
Yeah.
anything, and I just think like the anime community in New York is just really great.
Mhm.
And really supportive, at least for me.
Oh, I mean, you're you. But also because so now you've done a day party and now you even thinking, well, you told me like on accident you're going to do a con as well. And can you give
Yeah.
us the name of that con that you're putting together? What you've
Yeah.
done, you've done already
Yeah,
one.
yeah,
You've
yeah.
done
So I
one, two.
accidentally created a anime convention.
Yeah.
Yeah. So one of my so I had this idea to do like a magical girl spa day, like pop because
Oh,
one of
okay.
my friends does like massage therapy and she wanted to event at the Sailor Moon Day party, but I was like, I
Hmm.
don't know if this is the right fit for this, but I was like, I'm gonna like think on this. So I was like, ooh, I was like maybe because I'm like have at the Sailor Moon Day party we have someone who does nails.
What you?
And yeah, so someone does nails, someone does astrology readings or tarot card readings. Now have added tattoos last year, flash tattoos.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah, it's a whole thing. There's a gaming station where you just like board games, like coloring and stuff. And then we added 3 vendors last year, and
Hmm.
this year I'll be vending as well, so that'll be fun. Um, and they also like pin, someone like draws you as like a Sailor Moon character. So it's a lot of like fun little activations going around. And then of course we have the DJs and parties and food and music and drinks.
Hmm.
So anyway, I was like, I already have the person who does nails on deck. I have someone who's interested, a Sailor Moon fan who does like massages, and I'm just like, this is around the time I think the Creme Shop did a collaboration with Sailor Moon, so they do like face masks and all that
Okay.
stuff. I'm like, there's something here. I'm like, maybe like a spa day thing, and so trying to find a venue. I found one, and that was the other thing. I came across this venue, and I was like, they wanted to work with me, and I wanted to work with them. So I'm like, what can I do here? And then it kind of like happened at the same time, where I was like, ooh, I was like, I can do this there.
Hmm.
But then they ended up kind of ghosting me. And so I was like, well, now
Yeah.
I still want to do this event and I need a new space. And thankfully found Eileen, who's at Anitomo, actually connected me with, who does the Anitomo Con, connected me
Hmm.
with Japan Village, who they're another just great group in New York City. And they connected me with Japan Village and they were like, yeah, we'd love to host you here. And so I was like, okay, cool. So I was like, oh, I can have vendors. I was like, I can have these different activations going on. And then like about halfway through planning, because in my head I'm still thinking of it as like this magical girls pop-up event.
Hmm.
And then I'm like, wait, I'm like, I have like 20 something vendors. Like we have activities going on. I'm like, this is a con. Like this is
Yeah,
a
yeah, yeah,
event.
yeah.
Like I was like, wait a minute. Like there was like, origami. So I partnered with a lot of the stores within Japan Village to do stuff. So we had there's an origami store
Hmm.
or like workshop place. So I was like, oh, if you can do like teach people how to make like Sailor Moon dresses or Senshi dresses. And so they did that. And then there was like a magical girl like skirt class at the Babinage, which was the sewing station over there. I'm trying to think. And then the magical there's a Machi Maid Cafe came in and did like a maid pop-up thing.
Hmm.
That was really cute. And they were teaching people how to make like magical girl wands. And so, and then like all the vendors, and I was like, it didn't dawn on me until like close to when the event was happening. I was like, oh, I'm planning actually like a mini convention. Like
Yes,
this is
yes.
not like just a regular event anymore. Like this is a mini convention. And
And
so,
this is this going to be in, there was the first one in Brooklyn as well?
yeah, so it's in Japan Village in Brooklyn.
And this one's going to be in Brooklyn as well this year?
Yep, back at Japan Village.
And what date will that be for the con?
This is September 29th, I believe. It's the last Saturday of September. Let me look. It might be
Hmm.
September 27th. September 27th.
Okay. And for your Sailor Moon Day Party, which is a lot sooner, that's happening in June.
Yay.
That's June 29th.
Nice.
June
Yes.
29th. Okay.
So
And
it's
where is that
always
going to be at?
that'll be at Park Life in Brooklyn.
Nice, nice.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you've gone from a podcast to a day party to a con now.
Yeah.
I want to ask, like, I guess what is next aside from like world domination then?
I mean, world domination is later down the list for
Okay,
sure.
got you, got you.
But,
That's
but
thick work. That's nasty work, Victoria.
it'll be all peace and love.
Oh, I don't want that. Oh, that's sick work for me. Oh God, I got I got express feelings and stuff. Oh Jesus.
Sorry, everyone's got
Yeah.
to do therapy in my
Oh
world.
God. Oh.
But next is writing projects. I've been
Yeah.
trying to get more into creative writing. This was like an original dream I had before everything. Like, I think one of the first things I wanted to do was be a published author. Like, I'm talking like when I was like 6.
Okay.
And so, I've always had like a few stories in my head.
Hmm.
And so now I'm like, you know what? Like, let me get these down on paper and like work towards them. And so I'm working on well, this one's more new, but a uh comic book about magic girls, unsurprisingly.
Hmm.
It's hip hop inspired.
Oh,
So it,
nice.
yeah, so it's magic called Magical Beats. And it's about a rapper going on tour with her entourage. They're all magical girls and they keep coming across monsters. They don't know why. And yeah, so it's, I think I might have mentioned this before, but yeah, it was like a
Oh
rapper.
no, I remember this. This is great.
Oh, so it's a rapper, then her tour manager, her choreographer, um, her DJ, and makeup artist.
Hmm.
And so they're all kind of loosely based off of the five pillars of hip hop as
Not
well.
all of it. You're a
Yeah.
genius. Nice, nice, nice.
And so that's it right now. So I'm working on that. I'm working with the artist Asia Fulmore. She's great.
Hmm.
Um, and then I'm working on a YA novel about a young black girl detective looking for a missing princess
Okay,
while she's like visiting her like aunt in this, I call it Queensland, but it's like basically London, but
okay.
black. So
I thought you were gonna say like Queens, New York. I was like, oh, well, London, London. Okay, cool.
oh yeah. Well, I mean, it's very coming to America.
Hmm.
But no. Um, and yeah, then yeah, some other things probably down the pipeline. We'll
Hmm.
see. And that's kind of where I'm at right now. I'm like, let's dig into these creative projects and see
Nice.
what that gets
Have
me.
because having, I guess, was it an easy transition for you or something like? I guess my question is, do you get not tired, but are you like you like talking about things other folks are doing and like getting folks involved in that and like things you're a fan of, like, yo, you should be a fan of this or you should check this thing out. Does it then come to a point where you're like, I need to create something on my own instead of just talking about other folks' projects, or is like, or you would have been fine doing that, or like, I mean, or since you already had this thing you wanted to do, it's like, oh, it's time to put energy towards this. I could always come back to that, but like, it's time to put energy towards building this thing up.
It's definitely like, it's time to put energy towards putting this thing up.
Hmm.
Just because I did a bucket list a few years ago and I realized like I wasn't working towards anything on that bucket list. And I'm like,
Oh,
what am I doing with my life? And so I think well, it's not easy, but the thing that didn't cost money was writing a book. And
got
so
you, got you.
I was like, you know what? Like, if I'm saying I want to do this and I have a laptop and Google Docs, why am I not at least
Yeah.
starting and working on it? And so, I think that's kind of like, let me put energy towards this because, like, why not? Especially now because I'm like,
Yeah.
so many tools online and things. So yeah, that's basically was it. I do love hearing people's stories. I love talking to creative people.
Hmm.
Like, that's definitely like never going away. But but yeah, I think it was definitely just like, let me put energy towards this thing if I'm saying like this is one of my biggest goals in life. Mhm.
Oh, I thought it
Mhm.
was gonna be more. It's one
Nope,
of my,
that's it.
it's
That's
only my
it.
big dream, and I thought it was gonna be more.
That's
Nice.
it.
First of all, I'm glad to hear about your other projects, and also that we get to see you and in your element this September, the 27th, for the Sailor Moon Con that's going to be in Brooklyn, and even sooner than that, June 29th for the Sailor Moon Day Party at Park Life in Brooklyn.
Yeah, well, Magical Girls Festival. But yes,
Magical Girls Festival.
okay, it's
Yeah.
very confusing. But yeah. I'm
What
very
time does
excited.
that start for the one in June?
That is at 2, from 2 to 8. So it's a day party.
Oh,
Be
hell yeah.
home by 10. It's like that's why I've made it. I'm like I
Who's
love
gonna?
night events, but I'm like, yes, I love being at home too. Hmm?
Yeah, listen, home is always great, but people should go and check this out because you're going to be there.
Yeah, and then the
Yeah.
Magical Girls Fest is from 11 to 8, I believe. It's whenever Japan Village closes.
Okay,
But I
cool.
think they open at 11. I know they open at 11. Yes, last year we did 12, and then we realized the space opens at 11, so I'm like, we might as well just open at 11 as well.
Okay. Makes
Yeah.
it all makes sense. Okay. Well,
Mhm.
hopefully, well, no, not even hopefully, people are going to go and they're going to check
Yeah.
you out at this thing. And it's been great interviewing you about your day, Magical Girl Day Party, Magical Girl Festival.
It's
This is
okay.
me. This is me, man.
Club,
Listen, listen.
Sailor Moon
We
Fan
we fly
Club,
off the
Sailor Moon
cuff
Day Party,
here.
Magical Girls Festival.
One
That's
more
all.
time.
Okay, so Sailor Moon Fan Club podcast,
Boom,
Mooney's Club.
boom.
So wait, also say Mooney's Club is the overarching brand. Under
Got
that,
you.
we have Sailor Moon Fan Club podcast, Sailor Moon Day Party, Magical Girls Festival.
Boom.
Here we go.
Hopefully, it will have everyone being there and seeing you in your element, enjoying. So,
Yeah.
any last magical girl words you want to leave with?
Ooh, those words. Follow your dreams. Love and happiness. No, seriously, like I just do stuff. Shoot your shot. That's what I tell
There it is.
people.
There it is.
A
There it
lot of
is.
stuff I do is literally just me sending an email and hoping for the best. We may also, I will share, may have a special guest this year at the Magical Girls Fest. I
Oh,
can't
okay.
say who yet, but stay tuned.
Hell
Mhm.
yeah. All right. And thank you for being here and sharing your space and telling others about your space that they can go to and enjoy as well.
Yeah, so you can find me personally at Miss Old School on all platforms. For the most part, it's Old School with a K, OLDSKOOL, because I love old school hip hop and I got that nickname in high school. And but I'm on Sailor Victoria on like Blue Sky and TikTok. That's kind of what I've slowly been transitioning towards. So any new platforms, you can find me at Sailor Victoria. Then you can find the podcast and the brand and everything, all the events that we do at Mooney's Club on all social media platforms. And if you want to sign up for our newsletter, you can sign up at SailorMoonFanClub.com.
As always, it's a pleasure, Victoria.
So, Mar.
And we'll wave goodbye.